Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Fan View, where I normally welcome one of our correspondents onto the podcast to discuss current matters at their club. And I do have one of them, but we had two managers lost over the weekend, so decided to have two of them. Firstly, let me introduce you to our Wolverhampton Wanderers correspondent. It's Bradley Parker. How are you, Bradley?
Happy.
Ish. And our Southampton correspondent is in, not because I wanted to bully him. It's Matt Samuel. How are you, Matt?
Yeah, other than the football, not too bad, mate. Thanks.
Good stuff. Right. Plenty to cover off with obviously two managerial dismissals over the weekend. Thank you both for joining at as a time you'd probably rather not talk about the club, I imagine. Bradley, firstly, the reaction to the dismissal of Gary O'Neill. I got the impression from you on socials that this was overdue.
Yeah, it was way overdue. I think if you probably check my Twitter from when we lost to Brentford, for me, that was like the point where it was clear it's not going to work anymore. It needs cutting off now. Let's not waste any games. It's clearly not working. We carried on for reasons. The back team, there's like, oh no, he's our man. We've got good fixtures in November and December. We'll be okay. Proceeds to lose all four of them and sack him anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you probably heard me talk about it, but I've certainly felt towards you had a horrendous start to the season with the fixtures. I felt he'd earned the right to have a look at some of the better ones coming up, like Palace. You didn't play well. Then you won the Southampton game, felt critical, and I felt he needed that run to see if it was just a case of, well, is it really that bad? I remember even saying after you'd won at Fulham, we haven't really got the information yet in terms of whether this is good or bad, but clearly there's something still here capable. I mean, nearly all of us have struggled against Fulham this year, and you didn't, Bradley, which shows how whack this league can be sometimes. But you felt the performance at Brentford, I guess, was so bad defensively, cut it then.
Yeah, cut it then. Like it all the patterns was always the same. Like, and at that point, when you can see the patterns, it doesn't matter if you get like a few little fluky wins in the middle. I mean, what we've conceded 40 goals now in 16 games. The writing's on the wall at that point. Like we equalised twice, pretty much fast, and then gave it away. So, and that's happened a lot this season. Again, another pattern. It's like, what's the point of even celebrating a goal? We've got to wait 5 minutes to make sure it's actually worth even caring about. Did it at West Ham, about 5 minutes, and then they scored again. It's not like you have to do anything good either to score past us.
No, I mean, the amount of goals you conceded this season is well documented. Most people have seen the set piece goals conceded is
Won a game, but
I mean, I know. I look at my team and I think, oh, we're bad defending set piece. I think we conceded about six this season from set plays. You're running at one a game. That's crazy. Matt, reaction to last night's news. We were both at the game,
Yep.
and then I know you hadn't even got home. I definitely hadn't got home. Saw the news was on the train, and the reaction, which on the train was full of Tottenham fans, was shock at
Really?
first. What was your reaction?
Wasn't surprised at all. Obviously, you would have heard it last night with the Northern singing "We Want Martin out," and then kind of you getting sacked in the morning. That's the first time that they've done that this season, either home or away. I've been away a few games this season, and we've always kind of clapped them when they've come over. There's never really been any of the animosity that we haven't really had people having a go. Yesterday is when it changed, and I think it was more a case of it honestly looked like, I don't know from your perspective, but it looked like the players had given up. They didn't really know what they were doing for the first 15 minutes. Then obviously he dragged Suleiman off after 13 minutes, after ridiculously putting him in the squad. Hasn't really earned his place. So yeah, I wasn't surprised at all when I got a phone call from my friend on the way home saying, "Yeah, I know you're not home yet, but he's gone." And yeah, that's kind of what I put on Twitter yesterday. I'm not surprised. I thank the guy for everything we did in the championship, but this has been coming for quite a while now.
So you're in no doubt this is the right decision.
Yeah,
Because I think a lot of us have heard that there was kind of a growing feeling that relegation might be inevitable this year, but he might be the best man in the long term. And we'd only discussed, I think, last week to say, like, look, it's gone on long enough now, sitting there on 5 points. It looks like the decision is to stick with this for the long term, a little bit like what Burnley did last year with Vincent Company. It was just a case of last night was, or Sunday night was that bad.
Yeah, I genuinely think because the last time we spoke, I genuinely thought that the club couldn't afford to sack him. We gave him a new contract at the beginning of the season. We've just sorted the compensation package with Swansea through a court battle. Um, and we were struggling and close to financial fair play in the summer. So I just was of the opinion, right, well, they don't want to spend any more. They're resigned to the fact we're getting relegated. They'll sort it in the summer. But things have just got worse. And I think looking at this statement, it feels like they made the decision at halftime rather than full time. Obviously, it's come 55 minutes after the game's effectively finished. So yeah, from that impact, I'm not surprised at all. It's gone past the point where I think we can really recover it. So it's more a case of looking to a manager not to keep us up this season, but to someone that can get us back up next season.
What do you think that decision looked like at half time? Because I said this on the main pod yesterday that I thought probably you weren't prepared to make this decision, i.e., the half of football was that bad. It was like, no,
Yep.
finished. It wasn't going to be, if we lose this game to Tottenham, he's going to lose his job. It was
Yeah.
the manner of what was happening. A
Yeah.
decision was
100%.
made. What does that process look like at Southampton? Who's involved in that? Is it Rasmus Ankerson ultimately who's got
Yeah,
the
yeah.
decision?
So it'll be Rasmus, and there's another chap. I can't think of his name. Um, but as part of the group, it's Sports Republic, and we're now a multi-club ownership model. So I expect, that there are various members of the board that would have made that decision. And from what I've been hearing in the forums, there's been murmurings for a few weeks, and there's been debate amongst the board. But I think last night they probably just mutually agreed, right, enough's enough.
And Bradley, when do you think the decision was made about O'Neill? Was that when your players were trying to fight the opposition again at full time?
Probably. I mean, probably. Who knows with this football?
And
They'll,
who's made that decision? Is that the Fossum family, or is it like a sporting director?
um, I think I think it'd be false. I think it'd be Jeff Shea. I think it's clear he's found the breaking case of emergency Mendes Doyle because that's the only thing he knows when he's in trouble.
Yeah, and
I
it
mean,
looks like
Mendes wants to replace him as chairman of the football club. He's more than welcome.
I'm not sure you want to go down that route, Bradley, to be honest.
I don't know.
Um,
The most successful
I mean, it does feel like with some of the business you've done in the transfer market over the last 4 or 5 years, after time it's felt like Mendes has been running the football club. Because
better than Jeff Shea.
after players you buy are linked to him, aren't they?
Yeah.
What's his relationship to Wolves? Is it just easy money on
Uh,
the side, is it?
Pretty much. Can place his. I guess the idea was, which would make sense for a club like Wolves, is place young players with high potential, which he has done. Let them get a few years under the belt in the Prem, show what they've got, like Jota. Move them on for high profit. He gets you the next one, batching like next batching line, so forth. Use that money, which they don't do. So they're going to make this self-sustainable model. It's only sustainable if you put that money back in and spread it across, which they don't. They just take. So it's not really sustainable.
Uh,
In
a quick question to both of you. So, one, would you want a change of ownership, Bradley?
Yeah, we need to.
And same question to you, Matt?
No.
No. Okay. Right. Let's focus on that from your perspective, then, Bradley. Is there any chance of that happening?
Honestly, don't know. I don't know. They're so silent. They're the only Chinese owners left in European football. It's pretty obvious that the Chinese government pulls the strings and has told them to effectively pull the plug. At that point, we're just like a sail, like an empty vessel, really. They're putting up the maximizing prices, but not putting nothing out on the pitch to equate to it. Like Molineux, I was expecting it to be very, very toxic at the end Saturday. It wasn't really. I've seen it way worse than that. I mean, we've thrown paint over manager's car when it's all going tits up, and now it's just a few like we want Jeff out, but because all
Bradley,
else,
the police aren't going to be knocking on your door after this, are they? You say we, but
it wasn't me. I just saw it. I wasn't an accomplice.
yeah, unfortunately, it's felt for a while like they either don't want to invest in the football club further or can't. It might be a can't. I'm not sure what the answer is, but clearly for a while, you've kind of had the purse strings really kind of pulled. There was the open letter on the website prior to the start of last season explaining about it's going to be really close to PSR. Then the
And it was
PSR. but then the PSR results came out and you were really comfortable. Was that right?
Yeah, really comfortable.
And then didn't overly invest in the summer when it was quite clear, even with say Mosquera even back, that you were a bit short in the central defensive
Yeah,
department. We discussed it then. Mosquera has obviously unfortunately had that bad injury. The squad is thin. It's almost like heaven forbid if Cunha got injured at the moment. Because a few players like Huang, who was really good at the start season, seems to have completely lost form,
vanished.
for example. And Cunha kind of just feels like the next on the conveyor belt, a little bit like we used the analogy of Jota, that he'll almost inevitably move on, it feels like, next summer. So any chance he moved on in January?
Uh, prob Depends what money's thrown on the table, in their opinion, probably. But we
Surely they
brought him.
wouldn't. Surely they wouldn't take in January. You got to keep him, haven't you?
I think they'll keep him because I got the Mendes client in. He's not going to want to sell his bloke down the river. It's going to be interesting to see how much purse strings are given now. Now it's a Mendes client back in charge. He's not going to want to do his bloke over. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of players they do sign in January now.
We're trying to think as well. When Lopetegui came in, you did spend a bit in that January window. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, yeah, Lamina, Gomez, Dawson, Cunha. The high quality players, to be fair, to get in that sort of situation.
And we must acknowledge
Got
at the time we were saying 40 million for Cunha. We're like, wow, can Wolves afford to do that? I mean, that actually proved to be pretty solid business because I think you'll be getting significantly more than that when he moves on, actually, mate.
It'd be the highest sale we've had for sure.
Okay. So, Matt, from your perspective, there's no blame on the board on the start of Southampton's season. I guess you couldn't spend, or
No, yeah, I think we were close when the books came out. We haven't had great profit, and I think that's more from when we tried to save ourselves the season we got relegated the first time. We signed the likes of Onuachu and Sulemana in January. Um, they weren't great signings, but they're expensive. So I think that's really impacted us. Then the relegation didn't help. Um, we got rid of the likes of Ward Prowse, but even then, those figures weren't particularly useful in getting us profitable. So yeah, I think that became an issue, and we ended up, as you've seen, we've signed the likes of Brereton Diaz for 8 million here, and Archer there, but they're they're not the quality we need to compete at this level, and I think it's been proven, particularly for the likes of Diaz, to actually be worse than what we had imagined. We definitely haven't seen the player that Sheffield United had, for instance.
okay. What are we expecting from Vitor Pereira, Bradley? We are pre-recording this on Monday evening prior to Bournemouth West Ham, but he does look like Pereira's in the door. Are we assuming that at
Pretty
this
much,
stage,
yeah.
Bradley? Yeah.
Yeah, was
Right.
agreed to.
What do we know about him? The word I've heard a lot today is volatile.
Yeah, he seems quite explosive. He's got a few clubs under his belt, but I think he's made a comment about that saying he just likes to move on eventually. But he's been offered the Wolves job about 4 times, but he's never
Okay.
quite got it. He's got it now. Um, he's obvi- he's got more about him than Gary O'Neill and his coaching badges. I mean, he's won titles competing in European football, so he's not a mug. Um, I've looked at his defensive record across his teams. They're actually okay. They're actually fairly solid.
Is that why we think he's been chosen?
Probably. It looks like he can organise a defence.
Do we know anything about formation and style?
I think it's free. I think he likes to play 3-4-3 or some variations of that. He's not nailed to particularly one. I saw mainly 3-4-3. He needs personnel to play that system though.
What are you looking at? Loans, or are they going to spend the money?
Probably a bit of both. Loans to buy. Probably is a.
It doesn't help when, I mean, can you put your finger on Craig Dawson not playing the last few games?
I just think. What's Jamie Carragher say? The footballs. What does Jamie Carragher say? I think he looks.
Leave the football before
Yeah, like his
football
body's
make forces you to leave, basically, I think.
which is their fault for relying on a bloke who's 35 to keep that level up.
So has he not been playing well?
No, he looks like he's like like
Finished.
when your dog's about to die.
Oh
It's like
well, okay. Okay. I get that. Um yeah, I mean you definitely need, if that's the case then with Mosquera's obviously injury, it leaves you with what? Toti Gomez,
yeah,
Santiago Bueno. You've
Yeah,
had Semedo covering at centre back. I mean, Ain't Nori's played one there. Lamina's played that back there. I mean, that's clearly a priority, isn't it?
a mess. Yeah, it's a mess.
The goalkeepers, did Sam Johnston favoured now? Or are they both? I mean, you said they're as bad as each other,
They
basically.
are as bad as each other. Johnston doesn't attempt to catch anything. I think I'd just rather pick Saar. I feel like Saar might kick. It's like choosing which bomb do you want to go off. Like, which one do you want to
These analogies, Brad.
It's not even mentioned Bleach yet, Matt.
No.
pick? Which one do you want? Which bomb do you want to go off? Which one?
Um, but I think the one thing to say about yourselves, and I guess it's kind of a battle with five. It feels at the bottom. I don't think anybody really thinks Palace are going to be in
No,
trouble.
they've got what we need, a solid core of defenders.
You
We
agree with
got
that, Matt?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd
So it
say
like
so.
feels
Trevor
like
Chan.
it's gonna be the two of you, the other two promoted teams, and Everton. Of the five, you have the most goal scoring power, Bradley, with Cunha, and I think
Yeah,
most we quite like Larson actually.
yeah, he's a good player.
So if you can stop them going in at the other end,
Yeah, give
we
yourself a chance in the game. That's what it is. We don't even give ourselves a chance.
yeah,
I
that's yeah.
really solid it up. Maybe get a few decent players in. There is some slight hope.
Well,
But
on paper, that front two is good. You've got some good midfield players. In fact, I think you've got four of them that are pretty decent. Andre's come in and looked all right in spells. We like João Gomez. Mario Lamina is a player that we like. I like Tommy Doyle when he's got time to get on the ball and spread the play, a la that ball we put through for Cunha on the weekend. So you've got good players. Ain't Nori at wing back. Semedo is fine on the right hand side. There's a nucleus there that's okay. It does feel like right. Focus on that back line and it'll be all right. That's kind of my take here.
yeah, but Cunha might be banned for God knows how long now. So the new manager might have his best player not available for how many games.
Well, again, at the time of recording, what are you hearing at the moment? What's the
It's been quite.
expectation?
There's nothing been said yet. Apparently, there's waiting on the refs report, but I'd have thought that would have got in by
Gone in
now.
today, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he'll have.
he's not going to get away with it, is he? I can't see how he.
He can't get away with that. I'll be shocked if he did. I hope he does, but
Even Bradley acknowledges he's not even praying that he's like it's definitely getting
what
done.
is he doing? Oh,
I mean, you'd almost settle for the three game ban now, wouldn't you?
if he gets 3 games, I'll be surprised. I'll
You
take
think he'll
it.
get more?
Probably. I mean,
Yeah,
just
I
assault,
think he
isn't it?
could do.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where that falls under the law, like grabbing someone's glasses off their face. I don't know where that falls in after elbowing the fella in the back of the head as well.
I know. I don't know.
It wasn't a good look. I mean, there's two games in a row there, Bradley, where they've lost their heads at full time.
Yeah, we've done that a lot. There's a lot of over. I think there's a lot of over emotional players, but to me, that's coming from the manager as well. At that point, he's obviously not reigning. I mean, there's no respect there at that point.
It's a leadership problem in the team. Obviously, the
Yeah, if the
captaincy's
players are just
changed. I guess it might
yeah,
change again.
I think he'll just keep it with Semedo. I think he's fairly. Well, then Gary O'Neill slagged him off before he left, about the Delap goal. But then I'm thinking you've put him there. You've put him in that vulnerable position. Liam Delap is a really good. I thought he was really good. To be fair, solid
I,
striker,
I think
powerful.
everyone who's seen him live, as I did as well, has gone, oh yeah, it's a bit about
Yeah,
him actually. Yeah,
I mean that's
good
not.
forward.
I mean, Semedo could have done a little bit better, but I'm not going to drag him over the coals. If it's just a physicality thing. If you actually had a proper centre off with power, I mean, the only one we've got is Totti, but he wasn't there for some reason at that time.
I mean, the goal that you referenced where Delap kind of holds off Semedo originally ends in it needs Benny Hill music.
Yeah,
And then obviously you concede from another set play with pretty much the last
I knew
touch of
that
the
was
game.
happening as soon as
But
Totti headed.
weren't you like all weren't you right in good control and looking like you were going to win the game, really? That's how it appeared on the
We had chances
highlights.
to probably score another goal, yeah. And then
If
as soon as he headed out, so I just turned to my uncle and I was like, I know what's coming. And
well, you,
then
you can feel it sometimes
feel
in
it.
a ground. If you'd have won, would O'Neill still be there?
I'd have still sacked him anyway. I mean, it's just
Because
papering over cracks.
a lot of the reports last week were that it was like, yeah, they're happy to get rid of him, but they don't want to go. Whoever they speak to is like, no, not interested, not interested. So do you think they just they've gone back to Mendes and said, Mendes, find us someone?
Yeah, they obviously have. Yeah.
It's a lot of trust to put in someone who doesn't work for the football club, mate. It's quite dangerous. I hope it
So,
works out for sure.
but it's worked out better than just leaving them to it historically.
What do you want now, Matt? Is it someone in terms of similar footballing philosophy, or is it everything to try and keep you up this year? What are you looking for?
I don't think we will stay up. So I think it'll be someone that can develop the squad that we've got, maybe implement a bit of a philosophy and a bit of a style of play that, I mean, we have looked solid in some games. You know, we've only lost 1-0 to City, we've only lost 1-0 to Villa, but then you've seen us capitulate. You know, we're beating Ipswich, we're beating Leicester, and that kind of just sums us up really. So if someone can get a bit of a tune out of the squad and improve, great. That's just what the fans want, something to buy into. But we really need to look at the future. We can't be bringing in, say, a David Moyes or something this season to try and save us, because that will only end badly in the long run. Um, we've seen the name, obviously, Danny Roll is favourite at the moment. Whether that's lazy journalism with a link back to the club through Hasenhüttl, but I believe that according to Sky, at least, we have approached Sheffield Wednesday. Whether we would meet their compensation requirements is a different story. But someone like Danny Roll would be ideal, because at least, you know, they're a young, driven manager. They can implement a style of play, and he's proven with Sheffield Wednesday he knows the Championship inside out. So I think someone like him would be suitable. I just don't want us to go down one of the old school routes, and I don't think Sport Republic would. To be fair,
Okay, fine. I just wonder. I mean, you'd already mentioned it. The compensation to get Martin out of Swansea was aggro.
yep,
You were saying that you feared they weren't financially able to even sack Russell Martin.
yep,
Do they want to go through something that's going to be more financial aggro?
yeah, it's tricky. But then, you know, people on the market, for instance, you've got Potter. There's no way he'd need to come to us, let alone want to come to us. I've seen Carsley mentioned, for instance, but does he really want to go from, you know, being England interim back to the under 21s to then a relegation scrap? It could be a good option for him to prove himself in the Championship, but it's a big risk for him after the England position. And then, yeah, some of the other names like Corberan, yeah, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I don't. In his case, where he's obviously there's a chance of him getting West Bromwich Albion promoted. They're not miles off. That feels like a jump that doesn't feel appropriate at this moment.
Exactly.
And he was actually being linked with you as well, wasn't he, Brad?
Yeah, he was on the shortlist.
And how would that have gone down as the West Bromwich Albion
Um,
manager?
I think at this point we'd have just laughed at it and just said, "Ha, we took your manager whilst we're really shit," and have no expectations after that.
Both
It's
fans would have
worried.
been left unhappy, but it's like, oh yeah, we've proven we're bigger than you, kind of gig. Okay. Another name getting mentioned, one I think you had talks with before, Jesse Marsh.
Mm,
Is he Canada manager now?
yeah.
Yeah, I can't see that he'd leave that job as a host
No,
in the next World Cup.
no, not a
That doesn't
chance.
make sense. So it could well be a name if it's too difficult to get a role or a Corberan out of the championship. It could well be a name we don't know here, right?
Yep. Yeah, it could well be a name not on the odds list at the moment.
Kasper Hjulmand is another name I think was being mentioned back in December,
Yep.
who was the former Denmark manager. He's not. Is he with anyone at the moment? I don't think he is.
I don't think he is. I think he's one of a batch in that 10 to 20 to 1 odd slot where they're available,
Yeah.
but they feel a little bit far fetched.
Okay. Is he Danish as Ankerson?
I
Rasmus
think
Ankerson.
so.
Yeah, I think he is. And I wonder if that's where it's a lazy link.
Yeah.
Maybe might
There's
be
a
where
few of
that's
them
come
around at the
from.
moment.
Or it might be that he's watched Denmark a lot and he really rates him as a manager because his stock was pretty high when obviously he
Mm,
got Denmark to the Euros
yep.
when they faced England. So, okay. Do you think this will get a quick fix? Like, do we expect someone in the dugout in time for Fulham at the weekend?
I'd be surprised. We've put our under 21s manager in as interim. I expect he gets Liverpool and probably Fulham at the weekend as a minimum, unless we manage to bring someone in by probably before the Liverpool game, to be fair, on Wednesday. If not, yeah, I can see him getting the Fulham game away, and then they'll go, right, we need someone in for this run after Fulham.
Do you stay to the end? Yesterday.
Yeah.
We weren't tempted to go at half time.
No, no. I mean, I stayed there for the 9-0 that time. It can't get any worse than that. So
Do
I
you think it
don't
was
think.
happening again?
Yeah,
Because I felt in the ground that Southampton fans must have been thinking, not
yeah,
again.
yeah. When it was, I turned to the old man, 15 minutes in when we were 3-0 down and said, this is going to get bad. And obviously, the Madison goal just before half time was laughable. How he scores from there is just ridiculous.
Do you think
And then,
Russell
yeah,
Martin's seen it yet?
no, I don't think he wants to. Yeah, that was a joke. Just seeing him walk down the touchline and into the tunnel, yeah, before half time. But yeah, no, I genuinely thought you guys would beat that record. It just looked like the players had completely imploded.
Well, I
But
think
you
I
took
think
the
it
slot,
speaks
yeah,
volumes that I was even thinking it might happen here
yeah,
if we continue.
yeah,
I think it's worth saying you did say it looked like the players give up in the first half.
yeah,
They kind of acquitted themselves pretty well in the second half, in
yeah,
fairness. I
yeah,
mean, you actually were probably the better side in the second half.
yeah,
So deserves some credit for that. Okay. Is Wednesday a write-off against Liverpool? Does it
yeah.
matter?
No, I'm going stupidly, and I got my tickets a long time ago. But yeah,
You can't
it's a
change
write off.
what you love, Matt.
No, exactly. You got to keep paying the money to see shit.
My
But
wife thinks she can, but
but no, I think it will be interesting to see who the under 21s chap picks, because it'll inevitably rotation. Whether he's seen anything in, we've got the likes of Sam Ammo, who has played a lot for the under 21s this season. People thought he'd get more of a chance in the championship. He didn't. I expect we'll see the likes of him and a few others get more of a start on Wednesday. They may well maybe integrate a couple at the weekend, particularly for those that just haven't really cut the mustard this season.
Bradley, do you think you stay up?
Honestly, got no idea at this point. And no idea.
Do you agree with it's the five teams that we said? Can't see anyone
Yeah,
else getting involved.
dogfight now.
Okay. Do you think they'll stay up, Matt? That's a no.
It's tough because you could well see the new manager bounce, but I'm surprised at the appointment. I mean, I don't know the name, but whether the Cunha ban potentially could have a really bad impact over Christmas, particularly with the short turnaround in games. I mean, we're 9 points behind Leicester, for instance, so we're done. But yeah, I think January will be key for Wolves. I can see them getting dragged into it, particularly with the likes of Ipswich picking up points here and there, which seem to do them a bit of a favour.
I mean, it's interesting, right? Just read the next 10 fixtures for both of you. So for yourselves, Bradley, Leicester away is obviously huge this weekend. United at home, Tottenham away, Forest at home, Newcastle away, Chelsea away, Arsenal at home, Villa at home, Liverpool away, Bournemouth away. We can probably add Fulham at home onto that as well across the next 11. That's not an easy run where we can expect a manager bounce, is it?
Well, we don't get nothing when the fixtures was easy. So just roll the dice now. Let's play. Let's see what happens.
So, I
Just be
mean,
solid.
looking
And
at my rolling ticker, Bradley, I've got you 14th over the next five, and then bottom by a mile, game weeks 22 to 26. Interestingly, Matt, I've got you over the next five, fifth, and then the five fixtures after that, third on my ticker. So Fulham away, West Ham at home, Palace away, Brentford at home is not scary as a cluster of four
No,
fixtures.
no.
Yes, James, but everything's scary at the moment. I hear you. Manchester United away, Forest away, Newcastle at home, Ipswich away, Bournemouth at home, Brighton at home. Like if you're going to pick 10 games in a row, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's a decent run to get someone fresh in, and I think that's again one of the reasons why they've done it now. Because if they just went into the first 3 games of that, then they may as well just stick with Martin.
I don't think you're out of this yet. Don't get me wrong, everything I've watched, including Sunday night, but you've got these good fixtures, and also Leicester over this period, over the next 10, have got to go to Liverpool, Aston Villa, Tottenham. They've also got to play Arsenal at home and Manchester City at home over this period. Tough run of fixtures. Ipswich have also got to play Liverpool away, Aston Villa away, Arsenal away, Fulham away. Ipswich also got Newcastle, Chelsea, Brighton, Manchester City, and Tottenham. The game I left out there was yourselves, Matt.
Hmm.
So, I mean, Ipswich has got really tough games
Yep.
over the next 10 as well. Could you, in theory, over the next 10 game weeks, pick up close to 9 points more than Leicester?
Yeah, we've done it before.
So it's not over, mate.
No, but yeah, you and I both know what we watched yesterday, and I mean, it will have to be one hell of a turnaround, and we will also have to really sort the kind of confidence issue that is within the club. That if one thing goes wrong, and you've mentioned this several times on the pod, if one thing goes wrong, everything goes wrong.
Yeah,
It's like the
pack of cards,
entire
mate.
deck just falls, yeah, and that needs to be cut out immediately because we have lost. Like for instance, obviously the Ipswich game, we've lost 3 points there. Leicester game, Ryan Fraser's had a manic 2 minutes. We've lost 3 points there. We Villa, they weren't great. We should have really took them to themselves, and even the Wolves game, arguably, yeah, fair enough. A VAR decision went against us, but other than that chance, we had nothing. And Martin then came out at the end of the game and said he was happy to allow Wolves to only have 8 chances. It's like, well, that's not the attitude. So yeah, it's one of those really that it needs a big turnaround. I've written us off, but yeah, realistically, we need 10 wins out of 22 games. And if you say that, it's possible. But
I don't think you need that. I mean, there's a chance here you don't need that, Matt.
really?
Yeah, I mean, what was it last year? I mean, Forest stayed up in 32. I mean, miraculously for Forest, they've nearly equaled their total from
Yeah.
last season already. But you'd have stayed up in like 30 last year.
Mm,
Now, I think the quality might actually be a little bit better this year, but
yeah.
can we guarantee now that enough of Ipswich, Leicester, Wolves, and Everton will definitely hit that point? I would say Everton will definitely hit that,
Yeah.
but
I
I,
think we'll need that to be safe. I would feel very uncomfortable saying anything less than that will definitely keep us up.
8 wins take you to 29. There's 22 games to go.
Yeah.
Are Southampton capable of winning nearly 1 in 3?
On current form, no,
And yeah,
but it is possible.
the thing is we spoke about is that we thought there'd be periods later in the season where you play teams who
Yep.
didn't have something to play for, and you'd end up arguably winning quite comfortably. The
Yeah.
only thing is that's now arguably off the table,
Yep.
depending on the style of what comes in next. But we shouldn't rule out the possibility that you could, West Ham at home, Palace away, Brentford at home, pick up 6, 7 points more
Yep.
than what you've got already, and go, oh, okay, I
Yep.
can I can see the daylight here.
I do think
Brad,
a change will help.
yeah, Bradley, do you give them any chance?
Um, no, I just don't think they've got Premier League quality players over the pitch. I think that's the biggest thing. Look, they play nice football, but when push comes to shove, the quality isn't there to like capitalize on the football.
Agreed.
The problem is, Matt, everyone who's played you is like the football you played.
Yep.
And that kind of speaks volumes, I think, unfortunately. I just want to touch on the other three teams. You played Ipswich at the weekend, Bradley. What did you make of them?
Um, I think they're. I don't think they're great. I think Delap's good. Is it Hutchinson, number 20 for
Yeah,
them?
the
He looks
lad
a
for got from
player.
Chelsea. Yeah.
Keeps the ball well, and the left back look decent players. But lot other than that, I found them quite one pace, especially in the middle of the
Mm.
park. But you can be shithouses and succeed in this division. So fair play to them.
You're nodding along with that, Matt. You agree then?
Yeah. Yeah. When we played them at home,
You
I
should have won,
didn't think.
actually, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Didn't think there was really anything to them, and then they've conceded from us giving away possession from a corner again.
Yeah, but they deserve to beat my team at my place, right? So there's definitely something there. I think we can acknowledge the manager's quite decent as well.
Yeah.
Would you expect them to go down, Bradley, or not?
Um, I think so in the end. I think it'll take one if Liam Delap got injured. I don't think they've got any quality to replace that whatsoever.
And Matt, you feel the same about that or not?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll be us and Ipswich plus another.
And your instinct on the other is?
Gun to my head, I'd say Wolves right now. Sorry, Brad, but
It's
mate,
okay.
Brad
but
might be
look,
pointing it out. You know, you've
well,
said that, mate.
but I, based on the last three games, because I honestly thought that Van Nistelrooy going into Leicester would have a positive effect. It feels like it's had a negative impact, particularly from the defensive side. So
I think there's
I
always
could,
defensively though, won't they? I mean, they play
yeah,
Vestergaard, Oldie together, and it's like,
Yeah,
Yeah, but
in
why
what
has a new guy come in and made that decision?
exactly?
I mean, it doesn't say much for Fass and a collie, does it?
No,
Exactly.
So, I mean, he'd have his reasons. I'm sure he knows more about the football club than I do. But as soon as I saw that, even for the West Ham game, I went, well, you're going to get
baffling.
murdered by anyone who's got pace.
Yep.
You're going to have to play deep. So, but you want to play a style that's going to be more expansive than the manager that's going out. I'm not sure this marries up. We'll
No.
see. It needs time, obviously, and the 4 points from the first three games is certainly reasonable. I think ultimately this will probably come down to Bradley how you defend.
Pretty much, yeah. I think we've got the forward line to win games that, again, if we're solid enough, some people might not expect us to get punched from. You might get that back in us again because we do have the firepower. I
Yeah,
mean, Guedes is actually doing okay. His goal and assist ratio to the minutes he's played this season is very good. For some reason, he's kept benching him for Bellegarde, who is a really pointless player at this point. Like, the may as well just sell him in January. He just does nothing. He just
with
does nothing.
Forbes. I mean, I've only seen flashes of him, but I've quite
Yeah,
liked what I've
he
seen.
forgot he as well. Like, he forgot Rodrigo Gomez exists after his good pre-season. Yeah, he does look a bit lightweight. Yeah, he's like a bit green behind the ears, but he had a good pre-season. At least give him more of a chance to like bed in. All you've done is bash his confidence away. Like, now he play, you can tell he plays with no confidence now.
Yeah, it feels like a new manager might come in and like that sort of player though, and he might like Rodrigo
Yeah,
Gomez falls into that line as well. I think it
yeah,
might
just
suddenly
inject
be in the
his
team if you,
confidence in him.
yeah,
Because
if
what
you
he
play
was
if
doing
you play with proper
at that
wide
point,
players, could be.
yeah, because he attacked in pre-season. His clear trait was attacking the back post really well to get goals. I mean, and he's nifty, fast, like Forbes. A bit of directness because we're very. He's playing Bellegarde there, who basically just shuffles the ball. Weird way to describe it. He shuffles the ball backwards or just does nothing. He doesn't run past people. There's no point in him playing on the wing.
I've seen some criticisms, and that might be one of the worst I've ever heard. He shuffles.
He shuffles. It's the weird way he runs. It's like it takes him 10 seconds to start running. It's weird.
Matt, the one game you won was against Everton,
Yep.
which was also the same scenario for Nathan Jones. His only win for Southampton was against Everton, as it was in the Premier League for Russell Martin as well, which maybe says a lot for Everton. But then you've seen again at the weekend what Everton can do defensively by keeping a clean sheet at the Emirates. I mean, I think they'll be fine,
Yeah.
is my take. Is that
Yeah.
how you feel about it?
Yeah. I had them in my bottom three at the start of the season. Um, but yeah, I genuinely think they'll be fine. They always seem to find a way.
Yeah, I know what this is going to be for Everton. They've got terrible run of fixtures as well. They're going to fall into the relegation zone over this period, probably. Dr. Tottenham will rock up in game week 21 and save on the panic, and things will start getting better from there, I should imagine. Um, Pick your three to go down, Bradley.
Oh, Ipswich, Southampton. I'm just gonna manifest that Mendes will work some magic in January and Vitor will be good, and I'll just say Leicester. That's
Okay.
that's that's some copium though that's been inhaled to say that. So
To finish, and I don't want you to inhale any more of that stuff, Bradley, because it's not good for you. Um, any fantasy discussion worth having here at all, bar sell 8 Nori, sell
and
Cunha if he's banned, sell anyone else you might happen to have.
yeah, sell everybody. I mean, if we looked half decent, I would have thought Guedes would have to replace Cunha. I don't know if he's a midfielder or striker though on that game.
I was going to say
Not
I'd have to look at actually at what his price
I
was.
would be interested if Pereira will use him actually, because there is a lot of forward quality there. It's always been there. It's just if he's been asked. And to be fair to him this season, he's done okay. He's looked asked.
Any consideration for Larson?
Uh, if you want a cheap forward, yeah, he just ticks over nicely, Larson. He just
Well,
ticks
I'm
over.
just going to say people will be looking potentially are going to be looking for a Cunha replacement here. Is he worth considering if Cunha gets banned?
Yeah, well, without Cunha, the attacking output will drop now.
Mm.
That's the problem.
Matt, I've still got a few of your players on radar, mate. The first one is Tyler Diblin.
Yep.
Firstly, is there any danger he might go in January?
No, no, we
No.
won't sell them in January.
Okay, fine. He's still very gettable, isn't he? As your
Yeah.
eighth attacker.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, at 4.5, I'm one of those idiots with the Saints player, but you probably wouldn't guess. Um, but I'd go dibbling more than happily if ever was to restructure the way that my team's set out.
Yeah, he's a terrific talent. You can
Yeah,
see it. He's got an aura about him.
Yeah.
But saw it in the
he
ground
does.
the other night as well.
Yeah,
When he carries the ball, he's going to play at a top level.
he
It's
believes in
like
himself.
it's like Grealish before City.
Yeah,
There is that. Yeah, I'm nervous of using that because it's so obvious so quickly because of the socks thing and everything as well.
It's just the way
You,
he
you
protects the he just
yeah,
protects the ball.
yeah.
you be sitting there going, don't let him go to City, Bradley, right, and have it like coached
Yeah,
out
don't
of him. Is
wait.
that
Yeah, look at the state of City. Don't go there.
who's the Southampton player you've got, Matt?
Paul Onuachu.
How did that happen, mate?
I only had 4.9 million for a forward, and Ross Stewart's injured, so he's third bench fodder. And then he got injured literally the game that I brought him in when he looked reasonable for the first 60 minutes.
I might be looking at one of your defensive ones. Stop laughing. No, seriously. And I think if people were on wildcard, they would maybe, right? Because if they want a
Yeah,
4.0 defender, all the others of the 4.0s have got terrible fixtures,
yep.
Matt, and you might change here with a new manager. So, I mean, what would be your instinct if someone was on wildcard now and said, right, Harwood Bellis, Bednarek,
Harwood Bellis would be the one I'd go for.
still, that's
Yep.
what you'd said to us previously. So that's worth paying zero point 0.1 more for, is it?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right. Good stuff. And how much of a difference would Aaron Ramsdale being back in goal make?
Oh, big. Yeah, I mean he's kept us in games prior to his injury.
Do you think he'd go down with you if you go down?
Um, I'd be surprised. I think we'd be able to comfortably reclaim the money we've paid for him anyway. But he may well stick around for a season in the hope to get back up because then that would probably improve his stock as well.
What did you make of him doing the punditry for TNT for the game?
I was surprised, to be fair. I mean, I get why they've done it and they've clearly had an agreement with the club, but I was surprised given he's due back potentially either against Liverpool or the weekend that they let him do it. And it also put him in a bit of a tricky position
Yeah.
during and after the game. So, yeah,
Yeah, very much so. I no blame on him because if he
no,
thinks, oh, there's a career for me in the future, etc., no
yeah,
blame on him for taking that opportunity.
no,
The club might have said, you know, see if you can get someone else's game rather than one
yeah,
of your own. Because I don't
exactly.
know at that point what you can do, having been 5-0 down at half time. What do you say? What can you say?
Nothing. Yeah. And then they ask him about, at the end of I've seen the clips. They're asking him obviously about how Martin would deal with it in the dressing room, etc. And it's like, well, you've just lost 5-0 and you're not going to throw your gaffer under the bus. So yeah, it was a tricky one.
Yeah, it doesn't need throwing under it now,
No, of
unfortunately. He'll get a job somewhere else though.
course he will. Yep. Playing that style of football. If he's got the right players, I think he could actually be quite successful.
Yeah, does feels like that kind of Vincent Company scenario a little bit as well. Gary O'Neill, will we see him in the Prem again, do you think, Bradley?
Probably the Championship lower. Might end up being a fire. Like the new breeds of firefighter managers.
Like the new Moyes.
Effectively,
It's
the
going to be like
boys.
get Gary O'Neill in. Huh? It's going to be Gary. Gary O'Neill doesn't feel like get him in, and you'll start keeping clean sheets
Stabilize.
and stuff.
Yeah,
It's a different kind of
maybe it's
maybe
a new.
maybe he'd fit in at Everton because they're defensively all right anyway.
I'm surprised he's not been linked with us, to be honest.
Played for Portsmouth as well, didn't he?
Mm.
Would that
I
matter?
want off now.
At this stage, probably not. Prowsey was a Portsmouth boy, so
Yeah, but I mean, he played for your first team was when you was like 17, doesn't it? So
yeah.
it feels like one of your own, doesn't it? So, okay, gents, thank you both so much. Pleasure. Bradley, anything we missed, anything you want to plug before we finish up, mate?
Hashtag save the Wolves Slack channel.
Okay.
We don't deserve to be dying. We give too much community.
Uh,
If we
when Leeds went down, it was a pain closing the Leeds Slack channel that we have on our Slack on Patreon. The Wolves one is going to be even worse if you go down. We might have to open up some sort of social committee or something to get you guys in the
exactly.
DM group or something, I think. Okay. And Matt, same for yourself, mate.
Just I've finally made the jump over to Blue Sky. So if anyone wants to give me a follow, it's Clean Sheet Wipeout, actually written like that for once rather than on X.
Good stuff. Thank you both so much, gents, and good luck for the rest of the season. Clayton, be back with me tomorrow for the Clayton and James show, which will include a more detailed review of the Monday night football. Just leaves me to say thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other. Cue music, please, man child.